We're in the osteology laboratory, and what we've got is a whole series of things that we use to help teach people basically all about bones. So we've got resources here that relate to both humans, which you can see one of our students over here is holding a series of human remains. These are casts that we use quite often for analysis. We have a series of reference collections. These include both wild and domestic animals. So we have everything from red deer and foxes right the way through to cattle, sheep and pig, some of the more common food animals, which allows us to identify some of the material that we get from archaeological sites. All of it's contained within these cases, and you can see a whole series of mammals represented. And towards the end, we have what is more unusual sets of species. We have all the fish and quite a large amount of birds from around Britain. Most of our reference materials are from British material because that's predominantly what we tend to study here. Students would have access to this space for kind of particular modules. So if, for example, you were doing forensic and osteoarchaeology modules, or you were doing independent study or dissertations, this is the times that you'd come into this space. So what you can see here is a series of students who are kind of doing independent study, and some of them are looking at bone tools from one of the sites that I've spent many years digging, which is a Bronze Age site from Scotland. So what these students are doing is they're looking at a series of bone tools made of both bone, in fact, and antler, where people have taken either the remains of food animals, or they've specifically gone and collected that material to make a series of items to kind of use, I don't know, in agriculture, or even in some cases to make yourself look beautiful. For example, when you find things like this, which is a comb that's been made of antler. This is a copy of one that was in use during the Viking period. We look at species that range from the really large to the really small. And what you can see in front of you here is a bit of whalebone. And those are kind of obviously the biggest mammals that we get to study. And at the other end, we'll be looking at tiny things like the house mice that you find living with us from the Iron Age onwards. So the remains of animals can cover all sorts of kind of actions and activities that have been going on. So here you can see we have one student who's actually looking at, it's essentially food waste. So she's looking at the bones, comparing it with the materials in our reference collection, and identifying not only the animals, not only the species, but also which bit of this animal, maybe what age it is, what sex it is. And in that way, we get to understand a bit more about, say, whether people are eating lamb or mutton.